When it comes to EVE Online, every player wants to know the most effective tactic available. You want to know the meta. The meta controls everything. It determines what will and will not happen. Knowing the meta will alter your views, make you question your reality. It might even make you laugh. And now, you're part of it. You're watching The Meta Show.
Oh, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, just starting the hype train at the very top of the show. We are
just in time.
Here. We are
just
live.
In time.
This is the Meta Show starring Brisc Rubal and the Mittani. Today is June the 25th, 2022. For all of you out there in the Galente Federation, I would like to wish you a happy Federation Day. And for all of us who are Calderi, we would like to say, go fuck yourselves, Galente scum. That's about the most role-playing you're going to get from me. We got it out of the way at the top of the show. But we have something even more important to talk about, don't we?
We do. We do. I think it's war. I believe we have an actual fucking internet spaceship war to talk about. You can make jokes about wagging the dog here because we started it last Sunday. So thank you for throwing money at the stream. We always appreciate it. And I also appreciate those of you that have chosen to be here and watch us herf dwarfs rather than spending time outside touching grass or any of that stuff, because it is a big space war today. And I'm happy with what I'm seeing in the other window. So far, so good. There are many things that can go hellishly wrong. I want to start things off while I have the attention of the Imperium that is watching this. You have seen already some of the pings I was sending out earlier. We have a big fight tonight in U.S. time zone. We had a big fight the other day in UALX on Thursday night. We're going to be talking about that during the show because it's lovely that we can talk about war. And for people that are sort of not really clued into what's happening, Brisc is going to be asking me some questions, and we're just going to go, how did this begin? Why are we here? Why are we yelling at the top of our lungs about landlordism and how renting is bad for EVE? So we will get to that. But in the meantime, do have your eyes on. We're seeing the enemy for U.S. time zone tonight, making a lot of their usual, we're going to form up at 1 o'clock. We're going to form up at midnight Eve or whatever. And so if they're going to play flash form games with us, it's just going to be a period of readiness through this evening. And we're going to have a big fight for the XEV. It's on iHub. It's a Fortizar. It's a Horde Fortizar that used to be their staging system in MNC for a while. It's in Hull. We're going to turn up and blow it up. And there's probably going to be a huge fuckfest fight. And it's going to be one of those, everybody forms up earlier to get there. So be there with bells on.
That's what we're going to do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this war began last Sunday. And I want to talk a little bit about war in general and talk a little bit about this war in general and just highlight a couple things. And then I want to talk to the Mittani more about in detail about what's going on in this war. So first of all, let's set the stage. The last big war ended in August of last year. It ended not with a bang, but with a whimper, as Pappy decided they didn't feel like fighting anymore and they went home. This was after grandiose pronouncements that they were going to take all of Delve and all of Quirius and all of Period Basis, and they were going to hand it out to all of their alliance members, and they were all going to live here at one big happy family and own all of our space. And they failed to do that. They also talked about wars of extermination. They were going to destroy the Imperium. They were going to destroy Goonsform. They were going to drive Mittani from the game. None of these things happened because they were not realistic war goals. Fast forward to last Sunday. The Mittani gives the first State of the Union since the end of the war and announces for the first time in 3 years, since 2019.
It's been a long time.
I know, it's a long time. The entire Imperium, not the Goons Expeditionary Force, not the initiatives Adestus Astartes Sig, but the entire Imperium was going to war. This was a pretty unprecedented thing, at least in the last 3 years. And it also flies in the face of the claims of many people who had been talking just months ago that the big blocs will never go to war again because they have no reason to. We're doing it anyway. So, boss, I would like to talk to you about this. So you gave your State of the Union speech, okay? Mm-hmm. And you walked through some of the issues, right? Can you walk through for us exactly what you were seeing that led up to this momentous decision to take the largest war machine the game has ever seen in one small coalition that's not full of chuckle fucks and take it to war? What was your thinking behind this? What did you guys see behind the scenes?
Well, let's move it back to March. Around the start of March through June was the Goonfleet Expeditionary Force deployment. We deployed with the initiative, and a few of our allies decided they wanted to get stuck in and get involved in this. And we mainly were attacking Fire. We were attacking Fire in response to Fire saying that they were going to be attacking us. So we responded. They attacked us first. Constantine the Sincere lied about it a bunch and insisted that, oh gosh, it was going to just be, that we were attacking them first or whatever. But they aggressed on us. We have the recordings. That's fine, right? That's Eve. They wanted to harass us. So great. So we deployed Jeff. The initiative came along with, we started burning things down. We burned Faithabilis, we burned Amist, and we burned half of Teneriffus until we reached the end of our tantrum radius. And around the end of month 2, so we're talking about March until almost June. And then we're like, okay, well, we've come through, we've glassed everything, we've done our thing, and we noticed that Fraternity was attacking us. Fraternity had begun aggressing upon Dracarys, which is an Imperium ally, a member of the Imperium in good standing. They've been fighting with us through the Vietnam War, right? So, of course, we are going to turn up with bells on to defend our allies because it's who we are and what we do, unlike our enemies. So we pulled back from where we had been deployed in the Jeff to be able to deal with the attack from Fraternity, which came, I'm going to get technical, guys, and one of the reasons I'm going to get technical is that I've missed being able to get technical about EVE Online. So you're going to hear system names, you're going to talk about the actual, like, here's the map and here's what we're doing. So Fraternity had a foothold in Head GP, and they were using that to harass Dracarys, and they attacked and destroyed a Keepstar in 68 FT. And so before 68 FT went boom, they had also attacked HY TAC, which is another Dracarys Keepstar. So as we pull Jeff back, we stop in HY and we say, fuck off, right? Like, this is not cool. This is Imperium territory. There will be consequences for this. If you continue doing this damn silly thing in this damn silly way, we will get mad. We will come back with everything, and we will start sledgehammering your dumb pubby skulls until there are no dumb pubby skulls left to be sledgehammered, which is exactly what we proceeded to do. Instead of going, oh gosh, maybe we should act like adults here. No, the bad guys continue to do bad guy things. So sure enough, we proceeded to get everyone together and come back. And it's kind of funny because we've seen this on the field. It appears that Fire genuinely believed that they beat the entire Imperium, or that they beat the Imperium. The messaging, we might get into this a little bit later, but the messaging from Fire Coalition has been, oh, we beat the Imperium. So after we withdrew to defend HY TAC and to go home and go, okay, reprisal deployment over, high fives all around, they proceeded to put down a bunch of Fortizars. They put down a Keepstar. They put down a Sotillo. They have basically invested in the land of Teneriffus because, as far as they were concerned, they beat the whole Imperium. And so what really kind of set things over the top was just the furious masturbation from our enemies, talking about how great they are and all of these other things. And in Faithabilis, we saw NC Dot actually established a constellation that they were going to rent out, that they then proceeded to start trying to rent out. Now, of course, that we're attacking them for their landlordism, these guys are saying that they were never going to do that. And of course, that's just goon spin or whatever. But that's what NC Dot does. That's what PL does. That's what all of these guys are. Compulsive landlords. They are renters. They rent out space to any Tom, Dick, and Harry. And if you are botting or doing whatever the crap in that rented space, they're not going to police it. And we've just had enough with it. So essentially, that was the trigger point where it's like, okay, so we've got Fraternity in Head GP. We have PanFam in XVV. We have the bad guys were in 4060p, and then they changed from 4060p to T2 and JTech-Z, which is their normal ins mother deployment from Fire. So we're like, okay, if you guys want a real war, we will come out here and we will show you what a real war looks like. And it feels like it's been 2 weeks since the State of the Union, which was just last Sunday, because we have been at it since that time. And I'm proud to report that as of this morning, the last fraternity structure, the last hostile structure of any kind, was scoured from Head GP. They had several Fortizars there. Those got blown up. They had an iHub there that got torched way ahead of schedule. And we had, there were some doubts about this war. Like people saw me saying, hey, we're going to go here. There's enough bad guys that we're going to have a real ass war and a real ass full Imperium deployment. And we're going to sledgehammer some people and see what happens. And people doubted it. And I don't really blame them for that, because I think there was a lot of assumptions. Possibly reasonable assumptions that, it's been a while, the bad guys are just going to run away, or there's not going to have any action, or, maybe they're just bored and looking for something to do. None of that is true. This is a real ass deployment. And that means that we actually had in US time zone like a 1,200 person battle in UALX that started about like 7:45 Eastern time, at least in the run up to it, when everybody is starting to do flash forums and play fucky fuck games. And then it turned into a proper 1,000 person plus just grind fight, which we love. So yeah, that's where we are. Is essentially we told everybody that we would do this if they kept fucking with us. They kept fucking with us, and so now here we are to do this, and we will see where it goes.
So I think the thing that I think was most amusing to me was the fact that Fire started this thing trying to argue that they won the war. Listen to this for a second. This is the start of the Fire Minnesota that they did on June 21st. This is Constantine the Brave, Constantine the Sincere, Constantine the totally has never lied to an entire coalition of people like multiple times in the same sentence. This is what he has to say. Listen to this.
So Minnesota is format where I'm talking about what's happening in Eve right now, what's affected, what's our influence on that, and how we are affected for that. So after we won the war, the first thing, he can't even get like 5 seconds into this argument or this state of the alliance without a bold-faced lie. And I think it's frustrating from me, and I think it's frustrating from the rest of us from the Imperium side who were there and watched as we torched and glassed 2.5 entire regions with a handful of fights. Some of them were big. There were big fights. There was a Trillion-esque fight in there. But the result was Fire ran away, turtled up in their home systems, multiple regions from our staging, and waited for us to go home. This wasn't an end of the Vietnam War kind of thing. It wasn't like a Pappy move where we decided, oh, we're too tired, we can't keep fighting, we want to go home. It was all right, we've sent the message we intended to send, which was stop fucking with Red Menace Coalition and the guys in Ketch and elsewhere and in Esoteria. And we went home with the SIGs that were deployed, undeployed. We never declared this as a war. We never said we wanted to take the space. We never said we were going to keep the space. We didn't want the space. In fact, one of the real goals, at least from me, and I'm only speaking as an individual and maybe as a CSM member, was, man, it would be nice to clear out a couple of these regions that these big rental empires have taken over and make some room for some medium and small size alliances to move in and own their own space. In space that's not horribly bad. It's a little far from GD, yes, but it's not horribly bad. And the result instead is that the minute that we decide that we've done enough, we've sent the message, these guys aren't messing with our friends anymore because they're too worried about losing all of their stuff, we decide to go home, they run back through, and what do? Instantly, They turn everything into rental space. These guys are a parasite on the game. They can't stop pushing around every other smaller group to turn areas of space that could be fine areas for small groups to live in, to flourish in, to build up, to create their own little mini empires in the buffer regions between the big groups. But no, we can't have that. Fire needs rental money. NC needs rental money. PL needs rental money. All these fucking pappy guys need their renter income. And the result is they're pushing out smaller and medium-sized alliances from nullsec. That's making the game worse. It's making the game more empty. And it's turning basically the game into this bipolar, pun intended, universe where it's them and us, and that's it. And there should be more. There should be other groups that don't have to be affiliated, that can live and survive and thrive in space without having to worry about the renter machine coming and taking their space and turning them into serfs. But that's what happened. I want to
contrast this. I really want to contrast this. So the last time that the Imperium deployed in 2019, it was sort of a similar reprisal deployment. NC fucked with us repeatedly, so we put 1,100 Titans and we rammed them into the galactic north and we torched Tribute. NC retreated into the drones. Okay, fine. And in the aftermath of that, we left because we didn't want Tribute. We live in the galactic southwest and we are very satisfied with our Space Empire's footprint. And what happened was, because they didn't immediately move back in to Tribute, they used it as an opportunity to set up shop in the drone regions. You actually got to see a lot of little alliances do things in Tribute because there weren't blocks there throwing things down. We weren't involved. NC had moved on to other places, and suddenly there was a new breath of fresh air in Tribute. You contrast this with what happened in Faith Abylis, and you see things are very different. So this is one of the things that we're sort of upset about. But the biggest issue, like what are the war aims? What are we saying? Just like I said in the State of the Union, we are not going to allow this gaggle of landlords to sit there and have Horde and all these other fuckers just stage out of fire space to continually attack and harass the Imperium. If they want to do that, we will punish fire until such a time as they decide maybe we shouldn't be allowing the Imperium's enemies to stage in our space and attack. We're going to shit on everything that we can. We're going to find new ways to make things shitty for the bad guys until they stop being shitty. And part of that is pointing out to the world, the entire EVE player base, that the corrosive effect of their economic system, the fact that all of the pappies are so compulsively attached to landlordism. They don't want new players to come into any space that has been left open by more mature blocks. They have got to rent it out because they are essentially addicted to having serfs. This is who these people are. They have maintained landlord empires for more than a decade in the case of some of the people in NC and PanFam, and we've just had enough with it. So this is, I don't know if it's going to end up in a scenario where the fire guys go, oh, okay, maybe we should actually have some sort of a deal where we agree not to fuck with each other over this space, or if they're just going to compulsively host fire and compulsively host Horde and PL and anyone who wants to attack the Imperium within their space. As long as they continue doing this, we are going to have to do something about it. So it's just sort of a question. You can't force somebody to come to the table. You can't say, oh, Constantine, we're totally going to do a treaty and you're going to agree to this and, I'm going to agree to that or whatever. They've got to figure it out. And we have to show from an Imperium perspective that we are big enough, strong enough, and enough of a threat to deliver the consequences that we have promised. Now, a few things here. Offensive war is something that, like I said, we haven't done since 2019. And in 2019, the enemy mostly ran. So we just sort of glassed the region. What's interesting about the fights that we're having, and we're going to be talking about the UALX fight here in a little bit, is the fact that we have to play proper old school EVE Online. And that means going, okay, if the enemy is going to turn up with hundreds and hundreds of people, we need to prep. We need to organize. We need to do things in advance. We need to be ready to get there firstest with the mostest. And that goes from the organizational level down to the line level. At the line level, it means that people have their ships ready to go, and instead of going, oh gosh, there was a ping, I'll be there in 15 minutes, that they're actually ready to undock and fuck as soon as possible, which is what we did in Vietnam. We did that, and that's one of the reasons why we were able to win the Vietnam War, is even if the entire galaxy is attacking you, you can train your people to be able to handle this. Now the shoe is on the other foot. We are on offense, which means that there's a different set of rules that we need to adhere to tactically and strategically, and we have to adapt and unfuck our organization. We stubbed our toes a little bit in the first few days of this, right? Like always when you deploy, there's like, oh, this is broken over here, that's broken over there, this org is a little bit decayed, this process doesn't work. And so, you're juggling knives and you're duct taping things together and, the fun stuff, space war. But I'm really curious to see how it goes. We've got a U.S. time zone weekend set piece tonight. Everybody's going to be coming to the party. Everybody's going to be playing fucky fuck who can form up faster games to see this thing happen. And if we're lucky, we may see another fucking proper meat grinder. And tonight it's going to be over Fortizar in Hull. So it's not going to be any kind of iHub FuzzySob nonsense for tonight's fight. But we'll have to see how it goes. The nice thing is, and this is a luxury that we did not have at all for 18 months in Vietnam. The nice thing is that when we crash a fleet into a tree, or when we fight so aggressively that we run out of our stockpiles in GE TAC, which is something that happened on Thursday, we can go, okay, well, we're on offense. So, oops, that didn't work. What did we learn? What did we screw up? We need to import more of this. We need to tweak this doctrine and do that. And we can come back and do it again. And that's just going to be the response, is people need to know that if they deploy against the Imperium, that we will drop what we are doing and grab our immense Cheeto-stained bulk and get our shit together and come after you, right? It's tit for tat with occasional forgiveness. That's all it is. If you tit, we're going to tat, and maybe eventually we'll forgive and forget after whatever has happened. But that's just how this shit works. And, I hope we do well. We have to actually prove on the field that we're capable of this, because the challenge is if we don't go to war, if we don't regularly engage in, I wouldn't call this exercises, purges, difficult operations against stiff resistance, then we will be weak. We will get soft, we'll be weak. We can't just sit in the galactic southwest and rot away. It would be nice to huff gas and shit out caps as much and as fast as we can, but if the enemy is going to be attacking our allies, you got to drop what you're doing and go after them. That's just the rules. That's how it works. So That's where we are.
Now, what are the bad guys saying? Well, you can imagine what they're saying. Let me pull this up on the screen here for you. This is a ping from our dear friend, the Duke of Disappointment himself, Mr. Gobbins. He sent this out earlier this week.
Nice font.
Okay. Seems goons are in a bit of a narrative crisis. For a year and a half, they told their members floodplain regions don't matter, which is true. Then they went on a campaign to glass 2 empty regions. They were not empty. Trust me, look at our kill board. There was plenty of stuff there. We killed it all. They convinced their members it actually mattered, but then they got shut down in 46 DP and prevented from achieving their real objective, so they called it mission accomplished and went home. Boss, what was our real objective in 46 DP? I don't recall there being a real objective besides fucking with these guys. Was there a real objective that we somehow did not manage to make that I'm not aware of?
This is one of those things where they get to claim that they won and we get to claim that we won, and it's kind of fuzzy, right? Like the goal of a purge campaign, the goal of a reprisal, which is what the Jeff and Init deployment was fire aggressed against us. But look, they live in Innsmother, and they had 9 regions that they inherited from the fall of Legacy in the Vietnam War. So they ended up with a whole bunch more regions than they had before. And of course, being Pappies, what did fire do? They proceeded to try to set up their usual winter system, right? That's who they are. That's what they do. So when we deployed Jeff and Initiative was involved, I think Init was actually out there first, and we got the Jeff involved. I forget which was which, but the team got out there and started burning things down. And yes, there are a lot of those regions that are floodplains, and they are floodplains that were full of shit. This is what happens. You go there, you glass things, and you keep moving forward and forward. There's a concept I call our tantrum radius, right? And you hear this a lot in the Imperium, is that there is a logical extension of power projection, where you have, usually this is based around your super capital fleet, and like Titan range is essentially a logical kind of tantrum radius. And the goal in the Jeff and the Init deployment was to go as far as we could and reach the logical extension of our tantrum radius. Going into Tenerife was never actually originally intended, but we swept through Faith Abilis and Amos so effectively that we were like, all right, let's keep going. And if they let us get it, then we'll cut over in through impasse and we'll do some more fuckery. And so 4060p ended up where they restaged to, and we ended that deployment putting Titans there. We lanced some of their fleets, and then we fucked off home.
Not only did we put Titans there, we gated Titans
That's right, we
into one of their systems.
And then their staging system, their fucking
in their staging system. Oh, they got shut down in 46TP. Okay, we literally waved our dicks around in your home space and you did nothing about it. And you're going to say you shut us down because then we said, all right, we're overextended. It's time to go home and take a little bit of a break before we do something else. Come on, guys. Come on. Now,
you know, it's reprisals, right? So here's the deal. They can say that they burnt our floodplains, and we can say that we burnt their floodplains, and that's fine and good, right?
That's fair.
The point for us is to destroy the assets of PAPI members as punishment. Right, that was one of the reasons why we did it. They aggressed on us. We sent Anid and Jeff out there, and we're blowing things up until we get to the point where we're like, okay, we've gone this far, and we can go no further without our caps and our super caps, because it was, I mean, we had caps out there, but we didn't bring the big boy toys. And that's one of the big distinctions between that deployment and this, which it's a full Imperium form up with every single alliance and all of the big boy toys coming along with.
I know we had some of ours. I think it had maybe a total of maybe 100 supers and titans total, 50 of each, and we brought them out. I had two of mine, but I didn't have all of my stuff out with me because we didn't need it. We had caps and dreads and stuff, and we used them a couple times. But the one big fight that Constantine loves to talk about, that was a trillionist fight, because we lost 600 and they lost 400. That involved a bunch of dreads and stuff like that. But in the end, it's like, this was not a full deployment. It was never a full deployment. But the point was, we had fun. We went out there, we smacked these guys around really hard. And I don't think it is really safe to argue that after we literally had our way with you for months at a time, that somehow you won the war because we stopped and left. Now, the PAPI guys try to say that stuff about Vietnam, but the difference is, they had announced war aims before the war started that they did not complete. There were no war aims announced because this was not a war. It was just a deployment. It was fun. It was stop messing with our friends.
A reprisal
Did they stop messing with our friends? They stopped messing with our friends. There you go. It's over. So then the Duke of Disappointment continues here. Little problem, though. In less than 3 weeks from their retreat, they lost all of the 2.5 regions they had flipped and then found themselves in the position of losing a keep star in their own space. They say this like we intended to hold that space. And you guys know that wasn't true, so it's kind of funny. So then, of course, this next section is pretty funny. So suddenly they panic at this hostile momentum. You guys were killing undefended structures. I mean, I know you like doing that, but I wouldn't call that momentum. And frankly, we had zero problems getting our stuff out. We got all of our stuff out in a very normal, regular, boring old, let's do move ops every couple days kind of thing. And we slowly but surely got all of our stuff back from those forward deployed systems all the way to Fountain and all the way back to 1DQ. I don't think you guys killed anything in the space of those move ops.
They waited until we left, and that's fine. I mean, this is perfectly reasonable. Like, this is like what you would sort of expect. What I love about this Gobbins post, and you're I think getting to the part where we make fun of this, but I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, is how Gobbins, of course, is like, oh, well, their narrative their narrative is really mixed up, and they're not going to say this to their members. So of course, almost the moment that we got the Elf Boy ping, there I am sending it to the entire Imperium on an all broadcast because he can eat my ass. But
and just to be clear, when they started fighting, the first time they started fight, the first big ref that they tried to do, we fought them off, and then we basically said, you know what, we don't need this shit. Fuck off. We're leaving, and go ahead and clear the stuff. And then they knew for a fact that we were not going to contest anymore. But they continued to act like we were running away, even though we were literally just walking down the street. And if they had wanted to hit us, they could have. But they chose not to because they are cowards.
Yeah, there's something I want to hit on here that Kilo Alpha brought up. And this is for everybody who's in the Imperium that is looking at the ops that are ongoing and will be continuing through to whatever U.S. time zone set piece The bad guys are already kind of doing the whole, ooh, we're going to go earlier than usual. So I would expect people need to be eyes on from, Midnight Eve forward, possibly earlier than Midnight Eve, because you guys know this from the war. This is what they do. It's a game of firstest with the mostest. They're going to try to form faster than us. You remember the flash form shit. But the question was, whatever happened to that huge Pappy Dread fleet? So a while back, when we, towards the end of the Jeff deployment, it was around the time of 4060p, we caught a sign of 170 bad guy dreadnoughts, right? Like they flashed them. And we know that they have moved more dreadnoughts in. And what the enemy has done is they have withdrawn their subcapitals. The fire subcapitals have withdrawn from 4060p. The lovely thing about war, boys and girls, especially offensive war, is we can all bring up the dotline map and read from the same sort of Psalm, I guess. You can go from 4060p and they put their subcaps back to JTAC-Z, which is their traditional Innsmother staging system, because that is the core of where fire lives. And that's one of the reasons why we're just glassing regions back and forth, because, we ain't going to Innsmother. And if we were going to go to Innsmother, I would certainly lie about it on the fucking meta show. But that Dread group, what they did is they moved subcaps back to JTAC-Z, and then they have consolidated all of their dreads in T2. So now the main force of the Pappy staging is in T2. We are attacking XVV in Immensee tonight. XVV was the PanFam stager, which we were angry about. Here are these guys, they're working with fire. They've invited PanFam and Horde in, and they're doing all these things. So there's a Horde staging Fortizar in XVV, which is in a hull timer. It comes out at 2:30 Eve tonight, and everybody is getting ready with bells on long before it comes out. It's going to be a great attrition fuckfest. But that's what it is. Essentially, we are going through and attacking these staging systems. And keep in mind that as we are having these fights, when the enemy started unanchoring XVV, we reinforced it. And then we came back and we hit it in armor. They withdrew from XVV, and some of these move ops actually just happened a couple hours ago. They're bringing their shit that remains from XVV into T2. So this is good news, bad news. The bad news is there's a 300 dreadnought plus dread bomb waiting for us in T2 that the enemy has brought. The good news is it's a real fucking war. The enemy is actually fighting back against us in a semi-coordinated way, and they have that many dreadnoughts there to try to come at us with. So we get to do a thing. And so, yeah, if you're wondering, if you're looking at this and you're like, gosh, well, they've already nuked Head GP and scoured that out, and, there's this thing that's going to happen tonight. There's 300 bad guy dreadnoughts in T2. They want to take swings at us. They want to have a cap fight. We want to have a fuck fest. We're going to see where this goes. But it is definitely a real war when you're talking about hundreds of capital ships possibly hitting the field. And I don't know about you guys, but I fucking missed it. The UALX fight the other day, it was like, I had just come back from dinner with my family. We were out at a nice restaurant and came back, and I got the, you need to come to Capital Command right now. So I got strapped into the battle station, and then all of a sudden the ping started going out, and it was just like old times. And then for the next 4 hours, it was just balls to the wall. And yeah, it feels good. I'd missed this shit. I really had missed this shit.
There you go. There you go. As you can see on the screen, Head GP, the most expensive thing that has been lost in that system in the last week was a 14.6 billion ISK Fraternity. Fortizar, please pay no attention to the 500 million ISK bomber that I lost in there at the same time, sir. Okay. Now, back to, I'm going to wrap up this Gobbins ping, because I like dissecting the duck of disappointments.
Let's do it.
Attempts to rally his troops. So he says they're forced to call all hands on deck just to prevent the situation from snowballing. I don't know what they mean by that. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's making me choke actually on the bullshit. But to be honest, it's like I don't understand what momentum, what snowballing. I don't get it. That doesn't make a whole ton of sense to me. But we can't say that to our members, like we just did. They're going to try to claim they're doing this to stop fire from being our friends, but they're also doing it because they hate rentals and so far haven't really been able to get their new story straight. I think our story's been pretty straight.
Why not both? At the end of the Vietnam War, and this is the thing, this is one of the things I want you guys to understand. At the end of the Vietnam War, we took a look at the Pappies. We had fought them for 18 months. We knew their leaders. We despised them. We look at them and we saw, what is it about their culture that is a single bright line issue that distinguishes us from our enemies? And immediately in the aftermath of Pro God Legend unanchoring the Keep Stars that set off the panic evac that we now call the Great Rout, which completely nuked the galactic fuel supply because all the pappies were fleeing like stunned carp. In the aftermath of this, we banned renting across the entire Imperium. We said, you know what? We have looked at the enemy, we have looked at their behavior, and we have seen that this is a fundamentally corrosive aspect of the video game EVE Online. If there was not renting, in terms of renting space out to people in nullsec, you would see a lot less RMT. You would see a lot less botting. You would also see a lot more opportunities for players that are not part of the old guard, in the case of the people of PanFam, who have been renting out entire quadrants of the galaxy for God knows how many years. There would be real opportunities for little alliances to have fertile ground to do stuff in, right? And in the Imperium, we don't run around conquering and holding more territory than we can hold because we don't rent, and we have had big spaces before, and we realize we prefer to build tall. So
we've learned these lessons.
Yeah, we have. And, you know, I think everybody, you have to learn that the stove is hot and burn yourself a few times. Like, it's not like we are all completely innocent of doing this or that in the past. But when you look around and you go, renting is bad for the game, and if CCP declared it was an exploit and said, you know what, you can't do that, then the game would be immediately better overnight. And one of the reasons for this is that you found this in the past with the Legion of Death. What they would do is they would have space, and the way that they would rent it out is people would PayPal real money to their rental overlords in return for rented space in the video game.
And we know they
Online.
did that because they asked us what our PayPal info was when we took over the space.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Which is insane.
That too. So basically, you know, yeah. I could not, with a stroke of my pen, I don't have that power to just say, you know, if CCP declared renting space out to be an exploit because it's corrosive for the game, it creates bot farms and it creates opportunities for RMT operations. It's corrupt. It shoves players out. And it is the single method by which all of the pappies depend because they're just addicted to having tenants, serfs, bootlickers. They love it. They love it. They can't handle anybody who's not one of their little hierarchy doing their thing. So that's why we did it. We made a clear blot. We do not rent. And it was tough. It was a difficult transition because some of our allies did rent. And then we had to.
It was a huge issue for Init, I'll tell you.
We had to come up with new ways to finance our things because we said, okay, look, this is dirty money. We attack the enemy for what they did in the casino war. One of the things I love about the fact that we're having a war again is I'm getting to see some of our greatest hits in terms of the discourse on Reddit, where you see pappies being mad about us calling the casino war, and the Vietnam War, the Vietnam War. So as a refresher, and also because fuck you, anybody who doesn't like it, who's watching this, the reason we call the casino war is that these same pappy landlords used casino money, which was unattackable and was banned by CCP the moment the war was over. The casinos were banned because they were incentivizing gambling addictions, RMT, a whole bunch of bad stuff. And Elf Boy doesn't like it when we talk about the casino war. He really doesn't like it when we call it the casino war because all of these pappies want everyone to forget what they did and why they were able to beat us. They were able to beat us in the casino war because they had an unattackable source of income that was sourced from people's gambling addictions. And it got removed by CCP as soon as the war was over. But they wanted you to believe that we would be beaten even without that money. So when they came at us in Vietnam, they didn't have their casino war money. But what they did is they blued the entire galaxy. They got 103 alliances, 152,000 pilots together, blue, to make up for the fact that they didn't have their casino money. And they still lost like the little weakling bitches that they fundamentally are as people. And so they hate it. They hate the casino war thing. They hate the Vietnam War thing. And they're just going to have to fucking suffer forever because we will never stop calling it the casino war. We will never stop calling it the Vietnam War. And you can eat my ass if you have a problem with that because you don't have your casino money anymore. And here we are. So let's see how we go. So yeah, that's just sort of a backstory on all of this.
And it's a good backstory. And the bottom line is it's guys, it's like even with us not really spending a whole bunch of time molesting their rental empires during the war, because Horde space was untouched, NC space was untouched. We glassed a lot of legacy to the point that legacy is no longer a thing anymore. But for the most part, deep in the back in the drone lands, the areas that those groups were using to make money, they weren't touched, and they still ran out of money. So at the end of the day, when you don't have
a limitless, bottomless wealth of trillions and trillions and trillions of IS that has been siphoned up by gambling people for years, it makes it a little bit harder to do the stuff that you're trying to do. Now, to wrap up the duck of disappointments ping here, the last paragraph I have to take personal exception to because it annoys the shit out of me when he does this. By the way, in the middle of this, they also had this phase where they tried to get all their dudes get really mad and personally attack specific CCP employees, but I guess they realized that only resulted in more goons unsubbing, so they quietly stopped. Gobbins, fuck off. Okay? If you don't realize or don't recognize that one of the most important things that anybody on the CSM can do is speak truth to power and tell CCP when they're screwing up, then I don't know what the hell you've done the last 3 years. Because the bottom line is, it's our job to tell them, hey guys, you're screwing up. And if the players decide that one CCP person or two CCP people who are in charge of what changes are being made, that they don't like those changes and they don't like that person, that's not me and Mittens up here leading a mob against those people. We're not doing that. We never did that. And we've never, ever, not one time ever, told anybody in the Imperium or anywhere else in Eve to quit playing this game in protest. We haven't called for boycotts. We've done none of that stuff.
You know, this is really kind of, I'm going to hit on this. I've got a couple of good ones here. I don't know if they're good, but I'm just going to start being mean and we'll kind of see where this takes us. But look, so this little bit here at the end. If Elfboy understood the CSM in politics in the first place, he wouldn't have had the Horde candidate be so unpopular and fucked up campaigning so badly that they only got their dude on at what, like round 45 plus minutes into the election process in that stream. So first of all, there's that. Second of all, check this out. Goonswarm, since we were born, has been dealing with the fact that there has been fuckery at CCP where we have had to criticize the fact that, say, hey, there was a guy who was cheating and feeding T2 BPOs to Band of Brothers, the galactic hegemon at the time, who had declared a war of extermination on Goonswarm. We have been dealing with CCP on the one hand and what are now these pappy shitlers on the other, since the very beginning of EVE Online, or our experience in EVE Online. And I have to say, we find it profoundly motivating. And I really think, Elfboy, you should take a look about how you were able to motivate people to vote for Storm Delay. Thank you, by the way. The only reason the Imperium managed to get 5 out of our 10 people on the ballot was the fact that, well, Pando also had a huge source of independent support. Go Pando, high fives all around. But I would have been happy with 3, but no. Elfboy, political fucking genius who doesn't understand that in Goonswarm, we are used to dealing with CCP both burning down the game while you have Bob or NC or PL going, oh, we're elite PvP, goons, all at the same time. This is what we were born into New Eden dealing with. The T20 scandal, simultaneous with the Great War. And I'm glad that Elfboy doesn't get it, because it's good to be misunderstood by your enemies. Probably the pappies watching this are going, oh, well, he's just making that up. But any goon who was there actually knows that this is yeah, like, we're used to it. This is not the first time there have been people in CCP who take a hold of the game and nearly crash it into a fucking tree. And the good news is what I'm seeing in US time zone and what I'm seeing in general in the game is people are active, people are playing the game, and we're murdering each other in space. So obviously it's not that bad, Elfboy. But please keep on thinking that Goonswarm can never criticize CCP. Like, it is amazing that the guy, they keep trying to prune their inactives because Gobbins hates the fact that Horde has now blobbed up because they'll take fucking anybody to be the biggest alliance functionally in the game. They always want to stay behind Goonswarm so they can say, oh, we're not the biggest blob. We're just going to blow 103 alliances and, get 152,000 people together. But goons are the problem. But, whatever. Fuck him. So, yeah, there you go.
All right. So the smug man is going to go crazy because I'm going to smug out here. Again, I've said this before. And I will say this again, and I'll even say it slow because I know he can't hear really fast. Listen, we do not, on this show or in the Imperium, tell our members what to think. When our folks are angry at CCP because of the changes that they made, and they're angry at certain CCPers for the changes that they've announced, it's not because Mittens and I have said, you guys need to go be really mad. When we come on this show and we bitch and moan, it's because that's what we are hearing from our people. That's what we are hearing from the players who talk to us, whether it's Mittens in the Imperium or me talking to everyone else outside in the game. The show does not create player sentiment. The show reflects player sentiment. So if you think that we're out here trying to cause some big old crazy thing, no, that's not what we do. The players are already angry. They're mad, so we're mad. That's how it works. I don't decide. We don't wake up on a Thursday afternoon and say, all right, guys, production meeting. What are we going to get mad at CCP about this week? We don't do that.
We don't want to be mad at CCP. We just want the game to be good so we can murder puppies, which is our zone. This is what we do. We fight the pappies. We do this thing that we enjoy doing. We're good at it. Everybody has a good time being mad at each other. And it's distracting having to be mad at CCP. We don't want waters and wyverns. We don't want, I mean, look, the reality is that for like a year plus, Waterboy Feld's idiotic redesign of the capital industrial system had completely broken capital production across all of EVE. So look at who the former CSM representatives of the Pappies were. You had Elf Boy there, who clearly has his head completely up his ass, and now that they're only like actual like returnee after they voted their Pappy placeholders in ineptly. They tried. I mean, FRT did a great job, but Horde, oh boy, good luck with that whole storm delay thing. But you got Waterboy Feld, the guy who is like, you know what, we need to make it such that a wyvern costs 90 billion ISK, can have it be completely full of water, and let's add a whole bunch of random ass reaction BPOs into things to make it even more complicated, but not actually any way that's like related to the existing T1 or T2 production paradigm. To the point that even I had to learn about this shit to be able to talk about it knowledgeably on the Meta Show. That is how badly the Pappies fucked it up. So I just wanted to kind of throw in there some cracks on Waterboy Feld, because I don't want anybody to forget that the reason why the game couldn't build capitals, Gobbins, little elf boy there, you're complaining about us criticizing CCP. Let's criticize you. Let's criticize Kenneth Feld and the other Pappy CSMs. Because we are in this situation, which many of us have been complaining about, because your dumb, incompetent asses sold a bill of goods to CCP, a CCP that didn't know any better about the complexities of the economy. And congratulations, you managed to get them to put water and wyverns, and nobody could build a capital ship. You took credit for scarcity. Kenneth Feld took credit for putting water and wyverns. And here we are today. We are criticizing those that need to be criticized. We are getting people to vote. We are forming fleets and doing things while you are making excuses and fussing over Pockfin. Eat my entire ass, you little elf bitch. That was fun. See, I've missed war.
There you go. See, that was good. That was a total smug meter. We got the black shirts. We have delivered black shirt Saturday meta shows for you guys. Listen, again, I just want to reiterate this because I want to be 100% clear with you and with everybody else in the audience. Listen, again, we want this game to succeed. We want this company to succeed. We like CCP. We have plenty of friends in the company. I consider CCP Rattati a friend. I've been tough on him, but I'm tough on a lot of people that I care about, because I know that we're all coming to this from the same place. We all want this game to be great. They've made a lot of mistakes. They need to fix those mistakes, and we're going to try to help by making sure that there's content and fun things to do. And that's another reason why we like going to war, and why people who claim that the big groups will never go to war because they don't have a reason to, don't get it and never will get it, and you should not listen to them. Now, boss, I had a small phone call earlier this afternoon from one Mr. Fountain Frank, who was begging to come on the show. What? Do you think we should let him? I don't know. He's kind of a firecracker.
The thing is that what is it that's going to distinguish it being a real war? We say it's a real war. When we had the Jeff and Annette deployment, I don't think Fountain Frank took an interest in it because he was busy getting on stage in Iceland and dancing around and with Curious George. But I can't think of anything that says it's an official goddamn war with the Imperium than getting a war update from Mr. Fountain Frank. So maybe I would be fine. Let's get him on here. Let's
I'm going to go grab him. Let's go grab it. It's time for a war update with the Fountain Frank.
Hell yeah.
Why is this screen all fucked up? Chris, did you not fix the damn screens? You idiot. We'll go to this one.
Oh my God.
Frickin' Brisc can't get anything right. Screws up, doesn't get screens done for me. Guys, it's war. It's war time. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It is time for war. We are back. Now, you guys all heard from the Mittani, our space emperor of the ages, why we're going to war. We're going to fuck the renters up. We're going to mess with Pappy. I would just like to say, so it reminds me when we went to war, when the bad guys came to fight us and to kill the Dracarys Keepstar. Let me run these numbers down for you, because this is what Mitten said, and I want to highlight this. 900 Horde. 177 NC Dot. I can't believe there are that many of them left. 115 XIX. Okay. 113 PL. They must have cleared out every nursing home in the entire northern section of the game to get these guys to show up. 74 FRT, 71 Slice, and I'm sure there was probably the last 6 members of Test who are willing to admit they're still in Test. We're probably there too. But this is what we're talking about. Guys, it's the Pappies. The Pappies are back. The Pappies are back. They never left.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to take it to them because you know what? We live in Fountain now and Catch and a lot of different places, and we're going to bring the fight to the Bads. I expect all of you, every single one of you, to give your all for the Imperium. Now, for those of you in Reddit Swarm, as the official spokesman of the Imperium, I am the official head of Reddit Swarm, and I want to send a message to you guys. So, because this is a special chime, because this is a special announcement, I want everybody that's not in Reddit Swarm to close your ears. You're not allowed to listen to this, okay? And for those of you who are in Reddit Swarm, I need you to get out your super special secret with a K Reddit Swarm decoder pins and prepare for a secret message from me. Get your pencils ready. Set your pins to B7. Take this down. 7, 22, 19, 8, 49, 13, 3, 22, 1, 4, 19, 69, 420. That is a secret message from me to the members of Reddit Swarm. Go upstairs, hide yourself in the bathroom until you figure it out. Don't let your little brother go piss, because you need to figure this out first. This is important. Thank you all for being part of Reddit Swarm. You're what make the Imperium great. And I'll make sure you guys get paid next week. All right, that's it. I'm done. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the War Report with Fountain Frank. I'm out of here. We will see you guys. Well, I'll see you next time. Mittani, take it away until I can go find where Brisc is. He's probably making a sandwich.
I mean, he's probably in the bathroom with the decoder ring. I mean,
he could be. I mean, he is a member of Reddit Swarm, so there you go. All right, I'll be back.
Oh boy. Okay. So yeah, guys, if you were wondering if there is a real war, and you know, I appreciate it. I appreciate it that we saw some people on the fence until we actually deliver, like, you know, a 1,200 plus person like USTZ fight. And we had that on Thursday. I'll talk about this a little bit because I don't think we really went into the details. That fight was interesting because we turned up and it was the first time we saw all the bad guys turn up. So as a result, we hadn't been firstest with the mostest. We didn't get in and take the jammer down, so we couldn't bring in our tech fleet. And we're like, oh, wow, they're really going to do this. They're not going to make this easy for us. Good news. They're not going to, you know, the good news is that they're not going to make it easy for us. The bad news, I guess, is that we actually have to fight it out and it's a real war, but that's what we wanted. My nightmare when I got up for the State of the Union and started herping all these bursts is that these guys might all turn around and run away. And I think a lot of goons were sitting there worried that they might just turn around and run away and whatever. Now, we do have plans in case they do end up turning around and running away. We have things that we're going to do that are super secret. The Dakota ring might be used to issue those orders, but it's wonderful that they're actually going to fight us at a block level and send hundreds of people to fight us, because I have missed war, and clearly in the Imperium we have missed war as well. So when you see pings, especially when you see flash form pings, because the bad guys are doing the pappy dance. You guys remember what to do from Vietnam is you have your ships ready to rock immediately, so that when you see a ping, you can get in the fleet and just be ready to undock and go. Speed matters on defense. Speed matters even more on offense. So I look forward to the timers we're going to have tonight. Look to your war gear, look to your pings. Let's get out there and get it done. And, so far, so good.
There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of the show for this week. Again, to reiterate, as the Mittani said, we are in war mode. It is time to fight. Get ready, get out there, log in, get into fleets, resub your accounts if you haven't done that already, because it's time to go fight. We got bads to kill. Programming note, I want to just let everybody know, Rampage Incorporated will be going live this evening. Last night was our big wave finale of the Island Tour of Beers. We gave away close to, and probably more than 30 billion ISK worth of stuff last night. We gave away a fitted dread. We gave away to one lucky winner 19 billion ISK liquid. We gave away a ton of skins. We have even more stuff to give out tonight. We have more skins. We have another fitted dread. When we go live, Rampage Incorporated, prior to Saturday night's forum tonight, while you guys are out in fleets, keep an eye out for those pings. Merkel Chen, myself, and Aminet, we're going to get out there and have some fun tonight, this afternoon, and handle you guys some free stuff. In any event, this has been the Meta Show for June the 25th, 2022. I'm Brisc Rubal. Join alongside the Mittani. It's war. We're ready to fight. We'll see you next time, and you stay classy, New Eden.